I'm so happy, Alina, that you're here on the Original You podcast. Who are you in this moment? Who do you feel yourself to be? Not necessarily what you do, what you are to other people, but who do you feel yourself to be for you?
That's a great question, Gayatri. I guess I feel like I am an explorer in a way. I like to explore new things, and with the uh, technology changing literally day by day and minute by minute, I can't help myself but continuously explore what are the possibilities, what can we do with this LLM or that LLM. It's amazing to see how it evolves, and it's incredible to have a conversation with it. And sometimes, to be honest with you, sometimes I enjoy these conversations more than with real humans. Um,
Right?
Not because, for any specific reason, just because uh, I can learn a lot from AI. If, for instance, I want to learn a new language, or if I want to learn a new skill. I'll give you an example. The other day, I was exploring how to trade options. I mean, I understand what it means to trade stocks and ETFs and so forth, but I wanted to learn more. I heard the term trading options, but that I didn't know what it was. So I asked AI to explain it to me in under 5 minutes and give me a high level overview. It was literally that, spending 5 to 7 minutes to understand what trading options means. And I continue exploring stuff like that, and then just having other types of conversations with AI where it can either make me a better person, or teach me something specific and make me more educated on one topic or another. Continuously explore.
Cool. And so, in terms of who you are right now, what would you, to what extent do you feel human beings have shaped that? Family, friends, mentors, your education, immigration, culture, etc., have shaped who you are.
I would say probably 99% of that is shaped by my upbringing, my surrounding, all of it, friends, mentors, family, coaches, where I live, where I go on a day-to-day basis. All of that has shaped me to what I am today.
And can you give specifics of people and places that have been important in who you've become?
Well, obviously my family. I think first and foremost my mom, because she raised me on her own, so that
Mm,
had shaped me a lot into what I've become. Yes, she was my mother, my father, my grandparents. She was all to me, essentially.
mm,
She still is all of that to me. Um, and definitely my husband, my kids, and close friends. And over the years, I noticed um, the interaction between me and my friends, and I noticed that some of the interactions were very positive, and some of the interactions were very negative. And what I mean by negative, they left some sort of aftertaste after I met with these people. And the more I read about the power of personal development and positive thinking, I realized that I would like to uh, clean my surrounding, if you will, or filter it rather, where I would try to um, spend more time and get more time with the people that I enjoy the company of, people that are positive. And I'm not saying that, positive to mean that people should only share positive events with me. No, I'm
mm,
definitely more than willing to help in a bad minute, or if they need any help and or any kind of support. But the point is, I notice there are people that would be big complainers. They would turn everything upside down. You tell them the sun is shining and it's 52 degrees. They would say, oh, it's only 52. I want it to be 82. Well, okay, yes, it's not summer. It's only April now. But some people only see the glass half empty all the time.
Right.
And that's what I try to continuously filter out as much as possible from my life, because I've noticed over the years how it has been impacting not only my mood but also my behavior. Like when
Mm-hmm.
I talk to someone, spend time with someone who was always pessimistic, I would be in the mood after that for a while, and I simply don't want that because well, guess what? That mood passes on to the people around me, to my family, and I certainly don't want that to happen. I only want to bring them positive thoughts and positive feelings.
Mm-hmm. That's it's actually making me think of a realization that I had on this trip that I just took, um, where I met somebody new on
Mm,
one of the tours. I liked her a lot, but she focused a lot on negative things. And I noticed maybe I had slowed down in the trip. You know, I didn't have other things on my mind.
yep.
And I noticed that my own thinking was impacted by all of a sudden a strange anxiety. I'm
Yeah,
like,
of
wait,
course.
I'm not an anxious person. I wonder where this came from. And I traced it back to that, to some of the things that I'd heard. And there was nothing wrong with what she was just sharing, and that was okay, but it did impact me. And so I looked it up because I know that anxiety is related to a couple of different chemicals,
Hmm.
you know, cortisol and adrenaline. And I noticed, certainly, I noticed a spike in the adrenaline. Like I
Sure.
could feel a flush. So I
Hmm.
felt my temperature change. And so then I looked it up on Google AI. And sure enough, not only did I learn about the chemicals and all of that, what was actually happening, but I then looked up, hey, is this contagious? And
Sure.
Google AI said it's contagious. If people around you have a higher adrenaline or cortisol
Mm,
level, it actually impacts the people immediately next to them without
okay.
even talking.
Sure.
It's doing that.
Wow. That's
I
insane.
it is insane. I didn't realize that. That was, I was like, wow, I just had this revelation from this. So I understand what you're saying about negativity and increasingly in my life.
Yes.
So I think, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Um,
But I personally wasn't born with that sense and that revelation. It came to me over the years of talking to people that have a growth mindset, and then reading about it. One of the earlier books that I read, which was incredibly helpful, was the book called Mindset by Dr. Carol Dweck, where she lays down in relatively easy to digest language, how we think, how to change our thinking, and how to shift our focus from negative to positive. And mind you, you can't do that overnight. At least I cannot. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of practice and repetition. It's like a mental muscle that you have to work on. But if you keep it on top of your mind, if you continuously work on it, you can see the gradual transformation. And I noticed that in me over the years because I was one of the people who was very negative, very pessimistic in the past as well. So it took a lot of effort and a lot of mental exercising to gradually shift from that perspective.
and do you find that positivity is also contagious, like
100%.
that it's
100%.
impacting the people around you?
Yes, yeah, definitely. I can tell you for a fact that every time you and I meet, especially when we have the face-to-face, it always leaves me with a positive feeling, something that tells me that I've spent a good quality time with a friend and I learned something new and
That's nice.
learned about your new trip that you just shared about before this
Right.
interview, which was very pleasant to hear. Now I would like to go there as well.
Oh, good. Yeah. I mean, I'd heard so many great things about Iceland, and
Yeah.
it's all that it's kind of cracked up to be. So I heard a lot from you about technology
Mhm.
already. Um, but the last question is really, to what extent has technology shaped you, who you are?
Good
Um,
question.
yeah.
Go ahead.
So that's basically it. Because you talked about, your mom uh, being everything, and then the family that you've created. Um, I'm curious too about how the family you've created is different from the one that your mom created, because of course you have a husband, and you having a partner in life is different in the upbringing of kids, and if that's relevant to, I guess, to who and how you are and become, in your beingness, how you change. How relevant is that?
Yeah, I love my husband, and he's definitely the love of my life. In
That's
in
great.
our case, I think both of us had the same idea in mind, where we both were brought up by single moms. I mean, his parents divorced later in life. He was already teenager versus my case, where my parents were divorced when I was 3 years old. But still, it sort of was like an unspoken rule, if you will, where I could sense it in him and he could sense it in me, that we both had this idea that because we both were raised without fathers. We wanted something different for our kids, and despite all the challenges and obstacles, and believe me, there were many. I don't know that many perfect couple. We're certainly not that couple that never fights or never has arguments. Um, Despite all of the challenges and obstacles, we were able to stay together, and I think that what made us a stronger couple, um, having those obstacles and being able to go through them, um, whether we take one another's side or whether we stick to our opinion, but being able to listen to the other side and move on past that. Um, I think that's what differentiates good couples from bad couples, and it's sort of like politics. In the past, it was more or less normal to bring up politics. People could casually talk about one side or the other, even if you were in different sides. Now I feel like we're in a time where it's almost restricted to bring up a politics because, God forbid, you're on the other side. In more cases than not, I noticed that people come to the heated arguments without any need to that, and I still am like flabbergasted. Why does this have to happen? Why, if I'm one side and you're the other side, why can't we have a normal human conversation about politics? Still stick to our guns, but avoid any kind of heated discussion. I'm still like completely puzzled. Why is that not possible anymore, where we used to do it for years? I think I shifted from your original question, Gaytri. I think it was something about technology, but please feel free to refresh my
No,
memory.
so that's the third question. So this is still, we're talking about an examination of, how you're bringing up your family differently from the way you were raised, actually. And I think that that means that your children will be differently impacted. And you went on to talk about your husband and yourself both coming from kind of a similar background, but it was important to you to be in this kind of partnered family environment. I also think that what you're talking about is that relationships are challenging,
Very.
and they can be very challenging. But what my question to you would be, so how have you been able to overcome those challenges with your husband and then in yourself? Um,
Great question. Part of it is our upbringing, the fact, like I said, that we were brought up by single moms or ended up as single moms. Part of it is because we both found our perfect partners. And part of it, just understanding that there is no such thing as perfect partner. I know I'm contradicting myself, but in a way, it's being able to adjust to one another and support each other's good and bad days, and just being open. And all of that, I believe, is part of the growth mindset. If I were still stuck in my early days upbringing of fixed mindset, I would have never been able to overcome these challenges. And by sharing my learnings and my growth with my husband and sharing the books and asking him to go through it on his own and finding ways to cope with challenges and to support one another was all part of that journey of overcoming the challenges. And that's how I believe we were able to stay together.
That's great. I mean, because he also wants to do it. But what I think you're also touching on is that there's an underlying love that is so strong that you both want to overcome it for each other.
That plus we're always looking for the ways to strengthen our bond, and
Mm-hmm.
whether it's doing trips together or having a conversation about the future or learning something new. Like one of the learnings, I don't remember how long ago, 10, 15 years ago, I came across this book, Five Love Languages, or maybe it was my husband. So both of us read that book and we discussed it, trying to understand which are actually the two of the common love languages that each of us has. And mind you, those languages are not always the same and they don't have to be the same, but it's important to understand what is the love language that your partner prefers to communicate with, so that you can respond in that language, if you will, to have stronger relationship.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I'm sensing also is that both of you have a spirit of growth or this growth mindset. And your allusion previously to politics and where, especially in the States, things have gotten, the rift is so strong that people don't necessarily want to listen to each other in order to grow or change the way they think, and that openness is gone.
100%.
That, yeah, so that's where your relationship is very different in that way. And I think it's also your spirit of wanting to grow. um, so I mean, it makes for, I think, a more productive life, actually. you know
Absolutely. Absolutely, it definitely does. I mean, I don't want to impose my way of living to anyone, but I do encourage other people to be open to other people's ideas and to continuously learn what else is in the outside world, and don't make assumptions and just don't stereotype. Just because he's X, then he belongs here or there. It's not always that black and white.
yeah. Yeah, actually, I should relate that on this trip, because I think the expansive landscape of Iceland,
Mhm.
I took for the first time Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning
Oh wow,
on the pretty heavy reading, but
very
still, very important and pointing to the same. kind of theme, which is, kind of look on the bright side if you want to, it's obviously much more involved. But where the spirit is alive, it's not only to grow, but it's to see the possibility of growth even in the darkest times, even when things are really challenging.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. It's an important read, but I would not advise anyone to read that on vacation. I mean,
I
that's
know.
a big challenge that you undertook, sure.
So my third question is about the impact of technology on you, on who you are and who you're becoming, um, as we're grappling, all of us, with it.
I think in my case, my opinion would be somewhat biased because um, with 20 plus years of my corporate career was spent in the technology world, in the SaaS specifically, software as a service. And while I had different roles, a lot of it was around uh, designing the application. So for
Mm,
me, when I look at technology, I still look at it from a standpoint of that professional that I was when I was designing the product and defining the business requirements for the application. So every time I look, my first reaction is this UI friendly? Is it user friendly? Does it do what I need it to do? Can it solve my problem in 5 minutes? So and obviously. Or maybe not so obvious. When trying different LLM models, I've tried a lot of them from Grok to Perplexity to obvious ChatGPT and Claude. I see certain things that I like in one or the other. So, in terms of your question, uh, whether it's impacted me, yes, it has impacted me and it's continuing to impact me. It at some point became an essential component of my life. I'm trying to leverage it so that it makes my life easier and gives me an opportunity to do other things outside of the technology, but uh, leverage technology more as a tool, but not something that is a addiction, so to
mm,
speak. I don't want this to become an addiction, but I want this to be just one of the tools in my pocket that I can use to make my and my family life easier.
mhm. So you have a very different view because you actually designed software professionally. So that's kind of identity forming, in a sense, because you were creating, um, like, the foundations basically of what we now have. And was that over a long period of time
Yeah,
that you were doing that professionally?
I worked in the technology for 20 years. The
Wow.
design was probably at least half of that time. I was either representing the business or helping the business, or I was the business essentially. I was the one dictating the business requirements for the developers. So it's sort of like the doctor, even if you are not acting as a doctor on a ship, if you see someone sick, you'll probably try to help, or at least I hope you'll try to help. So the same here. When I'm looking at the applications, I always look at the flaws and I look at the potential advantages that each application has. It's sort of natural at this point.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, that would also kind of shift your worldview in a way,
Of
because
course.
you're kind of diagnosing um, the
And I'm
uses.
not only that, Gayatri, but I'm also trying to imagine. I can't imagine. I mean, I haven't worked in a corporate role for over 6 years at this point, but I'm trying to imagine what it would be like to be a product manager again. That's what was my one of the last roles, being
Hmm.
a product manager, defining the business requirements for the owners. I am sure it's very, very different these days than it was in my time, and a lot of it was manual, just using your brain and using other people's brains and using sticky notes. I'm sure that's all thing
Right.
of everything is virtual now.
Right. Yeah. I mean, now we can code. Anybody can basically code with the use of AI.
Yeah. Well,
Just
what's more impressive, or at least to me, again, uh, one profession before that, I was a tax accountant with Big Four. And when I hear people say, I did my tax return using ChatGPT, that to me is still mind-boggling. I mean, I'm sure ChatGPT makes mistakes, but hopefully, if it's a basic tax return, it can help you complete the tax paperwork well. And I'm sure it's only a matter of time
right.
when that will become our norm and reality, where the LLMs will be helping people, maybe not completing the returns because some of the tax returns are very involved, but will be helping with at least some of the basics and fundamentals of the tax return so that the CPAs can spend time on something far more advanced than just entering tax IDs and W-2 information.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a little bit cautious about all of that because, the personal information
Yeah.
and confidentiality. And I understand we're teaching the AI as much as it's spewing out information and advice to us, where it's like a two-way street. So,
Yeah, well, it could be a tool, and again, I don't want to go too technical, but it
yeah.
could be just one of the tools within the tax application that does it locally on a local CPA machine where all of the personal data is entered and completed by AI, and you don't need the humans to do that, but
Mm,
without the world.
something to look forward to,
Yes, for
but
sure.
not necessarily for the accountants
Right, right.
who are going to be losing out on that one. Wow, fascinating. Thank you so much. This is a
My,
great
my,
conversation.
my
Yeah,
pleasure.
it really